Look, you don't have to tell me that, Minister. I'm a parent myself, and, anything that keeps kids in school is OK by me. I just want to know whether or not you think that there is an inequality between the generations. We're talking about adults in our newsroom behind us, your cabinet meetings, people in pubs, people in theatres, people in restaurants, not having to wear masks. And yet here we are once again asking the youngsters to take measures, mitigations that protect the rest of us. And I just wonder whether or not you think that's fair. They've already been through so much.
Well, also to protect themselves and to keep them in their classroom. I want to keep Omicron out of the classroom and students in the classroom, and not for a day longer. As soon as we see that we can transition this particular variant from where we are today, where obviously London was the epicentre, but it's now rising in other parts of the country. As soon as we make sure that staff absenteeism is under control, we were at 8% at the end of last year. Then I don't want children to be wearing masks. In fact, I've also asked my team in the department to look at doing a piece of research for the longer term as to the impact of wearing masks in classroom would have on students and on their ability to learn. So these are
we're just running out of time.
And measures.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you there, but you are an amazing man. I mean, you arrived in this country, fleeing Saddam Hussein. You arrived at 9 years of age. You couldn't speak English. You have so much to be thankful for, to the education that you received in this country. So I'm looking at you and I'm thinking, this man doesn't take this decision lightly. I mean, getting it right, it's a heavy weight on your shoulders.
It is, and I don't want students to be wearing masks in class for a day longer than necessary. The UK Health and Security Agency, because of Omicron and because how much more infectious it is, recommended it. We did a piece of work in the department, an observational study with 123 schools which did have masks in classroom, and actually I will share the evidence with Parliament in the next 48 hours on this, and some of the evidence from other countries like Germany. It's one measure of a number of measures. Testing next week this week, forgive me, is really important. And, of course, the CO2 monitors. I delivered 350,000 CO2 monitors. And because some schools, especially the special schools and alternative provision, may not be able to mitigate for ventilation, I've got 7,000 air purifiers also available for those schools who can't mitigate for that. But the data from the 350,000 CO2 monitors suggests most of them can. And so
I just wanted to ask you about that
this week.
Sorry to interrupt
you. Get education back open.
Yeah, and I just wanted to ask you about the ventilation, because it does strike me that 2 years into this pandemic, we could be better prepared, and we shouldn't need to, at this stage, be wheeling in the air purifying systems. Is that your problem, do you think, or is that down to Gavin Williamson, who a lot of people would say really didn't do a good job in your position?
Well, to be fair to Gavin Williamson, he ordered the 350,000 CO2 monitors, which we delivered. And what they allowed us to do is to be able to see which schools, I've got 24,300 schools approximately, which schools can manage to mitigate for making sure the classroom is healthy and a good place for children to study and work in. Out of that data, I can now see that we probably need the 7,000 air purifiers for those schools who can't easily mitigate, which is why I've made them available to those schools. So I think it's a combination of making sure you've got the data in the first place. I've always said I'll be the evidence-led Secretary of State. That's what I've done throughout my whole career, both in business and in politics. And the evidence suggests that from the CO2 monitoring we've done, that what we've now bought, the 7,000, is about the right number. If other schools need them and they don't qualify for them, I've also set up a marketplace. I announced it at the end of last year, where they can order additional air purifiers as well.